First, the tough questions.
Did you kill Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis?
No, I did not.
So if you didn't kill Ashley and Miranda, then how did they wind up in your backyard?
Public property. Who knows? That place has been public access since those apartments and those condos have been built. People kick out the back fence and walk up to my backyard.
Last August, investigators found the bodies of Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis in Ward Weaver's backyard. Miranda in a cardboard box in his shed. Ashley in a steel drum under a concrete slab he'd worked on with his son.
So you have no idea how Ashley's body got under the concrete slab that you poured?
Do you know how deep my understanding is, you know how deep she was? We went all the way down to the water lines. But how she got underneath there, who knows? I mean, it was open for access for a while. Practically 2 months.
That, you know,
in July, Weaver granted me his first television interview. He revealed then his belief that the FBI considered him the prime suspect in the disappearances of Ashley and Miranda, though he denied doing anything wrong. We asked him for a tour of his home, since he claimed he had nothing to hide. He walked me over the concrete slab as he talked about keeping track of his daughter's young friends while they were at his home.
So when you walked me over the concrete slab in July when we did our interview, you had no idea that Ashley Pond's remains were buried underneath it?
None. Nope.
Should I believe you?
You know what? I honestly don't care. I don't care because I put up with so much because of all this. I put up with so much crap because everybody believes I raped these little girls.
I asked Weaver about the fingerprint police found with Miranda's remains. His fingerprint.
They found Miranda in a box, wrapped in plastic, wrapped in another box, inside another box, wrapped in plastic, and the only fingerprints of mine they found were on the tape on the outside of all that.
Weaver insists it makes sense that his fingerprint would be found on items in the shed because he stored other things in it, such as plywood, sheetrock, and spare parts for his car.
The chances of my fingerprints being on the outside of everything that's in there are probably about 100%.
But a sworn affidavit from Oregon City Detective Greg Friant says Weaver's fingerprint was found on the clear tape securing the remains of Miranda Gaddis inside the box. It is one of several inconsistencies we would discover in the course of our interview. On August 13th, Weaver was arrested for allegedly raping his son's 19-year-old girlfriend. The woman ran out of his house covered only in a blue tarp, claiming Weaver had tried to kill her.
George, can you tell us what's going on? What's happening?
I have no idea what's going on at the moment.
Shortly after the incident, Francis Weaver contacted police. He told investigators his father had confessed to him earlier that day that he had raped and killed both the Oregon City girls.
So did you ever at any point confess to Francis that you killed and raped Ashley and Miranda?
No, I did not confess to my son anything. I didn't kill Ashley. I didn't kill Miranda.
Finally, I asked Weaver if he has anything to say to the families of Ashley and Miranda.
Let's see. To Miranda, or actually to Michelle and her family. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this, everybody's barking up the wrong tree on me. I feel bad that Miranda's hurt, or got hurt, and she's dead. She's not here anymore. Like I said, I've never had a problem with her. She was always very nice to be with, her and Mallory were great friends. It bothers me that she is not here. As far as Ashley, I don't have anything to say to her family other than her sisters. And that would be the same thing.
What would you say to Ashley or Miranda if you had a chance to talk to them?
Come home.
Ward Weaver lived at the top of the driveway leading into the Oregon City apartments, where Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis lived with their mothers. His house also sat in full view of the school bus stop, to which Ashley and Miranda never arrived the mornings they disappeared. Weaver admits being home during the times in which the girls vanished, But he claims after waking up at 8 a.m., the overall time frame makes it impossible for him to have harmed them.
So you arrived at work on time
On
the
time.
day that Ashley disappeared?
Yeah. And if, like I said, if you do the math, there's, all right, 8:20 when Mallory caught the bus, 20 minutes for my shower, 5 to get dressed, that's 45, 12 to get to work. 50, what's that, 57 minutes on an hour? Doesn't leave a hell of a lot of time to kidnap someone, you know, rape them and murder them and do the body and get to work on time.
But court documents tell a different story. Detectives claim when they interviewed Weaver a week or so after Ashley disappeared, he told them he'd encountered problems with his burglar alarm and that he'd been at home late that morning, arriving at work at approximately 9:30 a.m. He has an answer for this, too.
Wrong day.
That was with Miranda?
No, that was like 2 days before. I think Monday my burglar alarm screwed up on me. And Ashley disappeared Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, okay. And there was a gal at my house when the FBI came to question that backed up that the burglar alarm, when I was late for that day, was not the same day that Ashley disappeared.
But Weaver does admit arriving late at work March 8th, the morning Miranda disappeared.
Miranda, when she came up missing, I was a half an hour late because, let's see, my alarm clock was at her mom's that night. So I didn't get up until 8:30. I had to get my in the shower and get dressed and go get my car warmed up, and I was at work by like 9:10.
By alarm clock, Weaver means his 13-year-old daughter, who attended school and was on the dance team with both Ashley and Miranda. Weaver says she usually woke him up at 8 a.m., but on this particular morning, she was at her mother's house because he'd taken her there the night before. He disputes published reports that imply he planned an attack on Miranda, that say his daughter convinced her mother to bring her home that night, only to have Weaver take her back around 11 p.m.
I did take her up there, and where that came off with, she came back and I took her back up.
But I think the point is, as far as for the investigators, is that in both instances, you were essentially home alone during the times that Ashley and Miranda disappeared. There's
Correct.
no one to account for what you were doing besides yourself.
Well, that and everybody that knows me. Everybody knows I never leave the house, not even to work on my car, without a shower. And everybody who knows me can tell you exactly how long my showers are.
What no one states exactly is when Weaver poured the concrete slab behind his home, the slab under which Ashley's remains were buried. Investigators say it was poured within a few days after Miranda's disappearance. Weaver claims he poured it several weeks later.
Yeah, I would have to say the tail end of March or the 1st of April.
Court documents say Weaver hired his 15-year-old son, Alex, to help him dig a large hole in the backyard behind the home. But they also state that Alex says his father told him he wouldn't be needed for the project on March 8th and 9th.
The police, their assertion is that you asked Alex not to help you work on the concrete slab within a few days after Miranda disappeared, so that you had an opportunity to work on it yourself and to pour the concrete and theoretically to put Ashley Pond's remains underneath it.
Okay. Let's see.
Why is that funny to you?
What? That whole statement? Because it's bullshit. Ask Alex when we started pulling the cement. There's no way in hell I was pouring concrete by myself.
This timeline leaves one question unanswered. If Weaver did in fact bury Ashley Pond's remains under the concrete sometime in March, where was her body kept for the 2 months after she disappeared? The state medical examiner who conducted the autopsy says she must have been in a sealed environment, consistent with placement in a freezer. The Clackamas County District Attorney's Office has subpoenaed this video of our July interview with Weaver, revealing a flip-top freezer in his kitchen. They have also seized the freezer itself as evidence in the case.
I'm also aware that they've taken my freezer and they're going to pay me for a new one because I'm pretty sure whatever chemicals they're going to use to test the blood that's, inside that thing is probably not going to be able to put food back in it again.
Wait, there's blood inside the freezer?
Food, you put your meat and stuff in there. Blood, hamburger, steak, yeah.
So you never stored Ashley and Miranda in the
No,
freezer?
I did not. The only thing that's ever been in that freezer is food from the store, period.